And we're going to go over some additional functions now. The backing up your settings. So in the USB memory menu, number 23, if you're going to import still image files or use a USB flash drive for backing up your settings, definitely format it first. So you put it in the front slot on the front face of this 160, and then just do format. So here you can back up or restore all your settings to a file. As well as in the macro section, you can save macros or load them from USB memory as well. So that can be also helpful, especially considering the amount of work it can take to uh, create a series of macros. Can't hurt to back them up should you ever need to do a factory reset and load them in again. In the system menu, there is a feature for the user buttons. So the user switch assign, their default is freeze, auto switching, record control, and camera control. So you can change what these do. So if there's any that you don't use, you have access to a lot of different options. You can see here, putting a still, reverb. You can do also Bluetooth control, so quite a bit. These are fully customizable, as well as the monitor switch buttons. So you can have, maybe you don't need to see 16 still view. You could have it be sub program or aux. So these 4 buttons can be customized as well. And then we're going to talk briefly about PTZ camera control. Before you do that, you got to set up LAN control. So you're going to give it an IP address and a subnet mask. And if you're on a router, at a gateway. And then from there, you go into camera control. And this will work with JVC, Panasonic, Canon PTZ, Sony PTZ, cameras that support VSCO over IP, and PTZ optics. JVC requires a login name and password, but the other brands do not. So really, you're just going to put the IP address of the camera, and you can do up to 16 cameras. And for now, you can, once the remote app is released, you can control it with that. And you can also recall presets from one or all cameras. And then you saw in this camera control, when I press the button, I can go through the camera ID. And then you see this turns purple, and I can choose from 10 presets here. Recall camera 1's preset, and recall preset for camera 9. So that's can be quickly be done with that camera control button right there. And we covered using a foot switch at the beginning, but just wanted to recap with that. In the number 19 CTL EXP menu, you have the 2 quarter-inch inputs, and so I have this Boss FS5U is set up to cut. So you can choose which the commands are. If you're using the FS5U, note that is you just set that up in CTLB, not CTLA. But if you have like the FS6, which is 2 buttons, then you will set up A and B for the left and right switch. But just to show you here, you can see there's a lot you can do with that feature. So there's a lot of commands that you can trigger with those Boss foot switches. And the manual has lists 4 models that can be used with this, depending on what your preference is for a foot switch. And I'm not going to cover the tally and the GPIO, but you saw there was that 25 pin on the back. If you want to ask any questions about that or check on compatibility, just reach out and we can look into that. And then lastly, in the system menu, I want to talk about a useful feature, especially if you have some volunteers that are operating this. Panel lock allows you to lock off individual. You see there's 5 pages of options here, but anything you turn on means that it can't be pressed on this panel. So you can just disable it. So if someone's accidentally hitting buttons, or you're running into issues with operation where people are hitting the main like the master output volume. If you want it to be fixed, this won't affect it anymore. I turned it all the way down. The meters are still going. So I effectively disabled this knob in this panel lock menu. So this can be extremely helpful. Or maybe you only have 6 sources and you're not using cross points, 7 through 10. You could essentially disable them so that people aren't, all of a sudden pressing these and then like cutting to no video, right? So panel lock is extremely useful if you wanted to prevent unintended operation. And then finally, too, if you're really stuck on settings or running into any issues, of course, reach out for support and we can help you out. But, sometimes you need to do a factory reset and you want to start over. Or you backed up your settings and you want to try a different setup and you're going to start fresh. Just go into factory reset and push it and then push to confirm. And it'll take about 15 to 30 seconds to wipe all your settings and you'll be starting from scratch. So obviously it was a lot to cover. This is a preview and introduction to the V-160HD. We will have more content in the future, but wanted to get this video out to help some of you get up and running with this product. So thank you for watching.